Remember the movie A Few Good Men, where Jack Nicholson is screaming at Tom Cruise, "You can't handle the truth." And you know, many financial advisors are fearful to tell their clients the truth because they're afraid that they're going to offend them. They're afraid that they're going to tell their client something the client doesn't want to hear. But I think good financial advisors, great financial advisors, realize that that's really the high value advice. The advice that the message that maybe the client doesn't want to hear, but needs to hear. And in this video, I'm going to share with you what some of those commonly are. So if you need to hear that advice, you may not be happy with your friend Azul at the end of the video, but hopefully it helps put things on your radar screen that'll help you succeed over the long term. Okay, so the first one is, you know, just be super cautious of lifestyle creep. It's nice as we get older in life and we're making more money, you know, it's super easy to just, you know, keep spending more money. So yes, we're making more money, but we're spending a lot of it. We're really not at the end of the year making any progress. Maybe we're buying nice stuff, but we're not making progress in our savings. We're not building up the account that lets us get closer to freedom, get closer to being able to retire someday. So the first one is to be careful of lifestyle creep. You know, if you're buying a new car every 2 to 3 years, you know, maybe your financial advisor should be telling you, if they're not, hey, you know, rather than a new car every couple years, maybe a used car every couple years, or maybe we wait 5 or 7 years between cars. So be wary of lifestyle creep. The next one is, particularly in middle age, you know, in our 40s, our late 30s, our 40s, maybe we've been in our house for 10 years, the styles have changed, maybe silver refrigerators are no longer in style and it goes back to being black or white or pink or whatever the trend is. And so it's easy to say, okay, you know, we've got this asset, our largest asset, our home, and we want to improve it, whether it's that or something else. But oftentimes when people look, how are we going to fund this? They'll look at their 401k at work and say, you know, my company allows me to take a loan off of my 401k. Unless it's really an emergency, you know, your 401k there is for your retirement savings. There's a reason that the government made it difficult for us to touch that money before we're 59 and a half. Not only is it difficult, but it's costly, right? There's a 10% penalty. You've got to pay ordinary income tax on it. But one way around that, this isn't financial advice. I'm not an accountant. I don't know your situation, but many companies allow employees to take a loan against their 401k. And it can feel like, well, why wouldn't I do that? Why would I borrow money from the bank when I could borrow it from myself and pay that interest back to myself? But, you know, some things on the surface seem like a good idea, but they're just bad ideas. And unless you absolutely need to take a loan from your 401k, they tend to be bad ideas. People end up regretting it. For one, you're kind of locked into your employer for a period of time because that loan has to be paid back in full if you leave your job. Now, 401k plans each plan is slightly different. Again, not financial advice, but generally that's how it works. You've got to pay it back. So number one is lifestyle creep. Number two is borrowing from your 401k. Number three is over supporting adult children. You know, it feels good when your kids are buying their first house to help them make that 20% down payment so they don't have to pay PMI insurance on the house. It feels good when they go to grad school to say, you know, mom and dad helped you out with undergrad, we're going to help you out with grad school. It feels good to be able to help them buy a car occasionally. All those things feel good, but you know what? They have mortgages for homes. They have car loans to buy cars. They have student loans to go back for grad school. You know what they don't have loans for? They don't have loans for retirement. So be really careful of helping out your adult children until you know that you've got your retirement in place. I think one of the best gifts that we can give our kids is for mom and dad to be financially secure. So be careful of over supporting your kids. Now, I talked earlier about the 401k loan. You know what loan is worse than a 401k loan? And that's your credit card loans. If you know, they're essentially unsecured loans that the bank are giving you, is what your credit card debt is. And that comes at a really high cost. So if you find yourself at the end of the month not being able to pay off that credit card loan, boy, that's expensive money that you're borrowing. And really think through, what can I do to pay that off? And really think through, are the things that I'm buying with my credit card, are those making my life better? So let's go for a little walk here. If you find yourself with a balance on your credit card, you know, is it really bringing you joy in your life? And if it is bringing joy in your life, well, that's one thing. But for a lot of us, you know, the daily delivery from Amazon, sorry, Jeff Bezos, Amazon is not delivering joy in those trucks. Amazon is delivering stuff. And much of that stuff is not necessities. Much of the stuff is wants. And a couple weeks after we buy it, we can't even remember why we wanted it. So just be careful there. That can be, you can really be jeopardizing your retirement security just to buy junk. So be super careful with that. And I also want you to be careful, I mentioned earlier about the car. You know, be careful about how much money you're spending on transportation. Surprisingly to me, the second largest expense for Americans after housing is their cars. It's not many of these other things that you would think it would be. It's the second largest expense. What is it? It's like 20% of all car payments now are over $1,000 a month. That's a lot of money. And you know, one of the things that I find is the least sacrificial way that people can cut back on expenses is by driving a used car as opposed to a new car. Now, cars are designed to be sold. So when you're dealing with a car dealership, those salespeople know what they're doing. They know how to handle objections. So make sure it's in your best interest to do that, not some salesperson's best interest to do that. So those are the main things that I want you to think about. That maybe if you're working with a financial advisor, if they're not cautioning you on these things, maybe they should be. And you know, high level, the secret to building wealth is no matter how much you make, spend less than what you earn, and in one house and one spouse. And I say those last two in jest, but you know, as expensive as car payments can be, and sometimes couples will cut back to one car, you know what's more expensive than an extra car payment? It's going through a divorce. So, you know, if you're an American, if you live in the United States, we're a car-based society. Unfortunately, it's a part of our reality. So while you could save some money by going down to one car, if you were my client, I'd be saying, you know, probably not a good idea to do that. Better for you and your spouse to have your freedom. And then I also want you to think about watching this video up here where I talk about the 8 things I want you to think about doing to enjoy your journey more. I'll see you in that video, and thanks for watching this one. Bye-bye.